As odd as it sounds, I'm actually really happy that we have this overcast and slightly cool day today because I need to get up on top of the cabin and start sanding off some of that gel coat. This is something I actually started prepping myself to do about 2 to 3 days ago when it was a clear blue sky, but because of the reflection, I almost went blind. Plus it was getting really hot and sweaty, so I figured today, sweatshirt day, overcast, perfect time to get started on that. But before I head out to the workyard to get that started, I thought I'd just show you an update on the new restaurant here at Kentmore. Not new, actually, the makeover it's getting. Looks pretty cool. And you can tell that the exterior is still in the process of getting painted. It was originally the red roof with the cream color. And now it's getting painted this blue with gray. Some really nice new landscaping and paving path walking in. Should be opening it again in about 2 to 3 weeks from today, so hopefully like only a week or two from when this video publishes, and I think it's gonna be a really nice hangout spot again for the summer, so I'm looking forward to that. It's my workspace today, lots of fresh air and gray skies, but the part I plan on sanding is mostly gonna be this curve out here because that is going to stay a painted surface. It's not gonna have non-skid or solar on here, where if we move to the center, this piece of mold here and where the mast is going to get here need to stay looking nice, but the rest of it back here, it's gonna be a combination of non-skid and solar panels, so not really gonna worry about that just yet. And I should have been a little bit more clear. I'm actually not trying to get through the gel coat here, just trying to get the shine off so that I can get primed. Then once I get that primer on, I can add our blue Dykem, sand it once again, find the low spot, because with the gel coat, normally it's a heavier fill and there's like a little bit more waviness, but because we're going back to paint everything, we have to do a little bit of touch-ups to kind of smooth everything out because it will be much more noticeable once we do get that paint on. I've got my vacuum set up here and connected to it is my sander. So we are going to go ahead today with some 180 grit sandpaper, which should be just enough to take that shine off, but not really take any material off.
All I know is on my way to become for excuse of a better one.
Try and get this out without hitting that again. One fault I am realizing right away about having an overcast day is I know that I'm sanding, but without some shiny lights, it's hard to tell if there's still a gloss left. So I think I'm just going to do a light skim, maybe come out with like a flashlight later to check some spots, but it might be one of those things that I just like kind of go over today and then have to wait for a sunny day and come back out to check. So we'll see. I now have the port side sanded down and it came out much smoother, easier than I expected. It was a pretty quick process. Looking down, I had been able to see kind of where there are shiny spots, and right now I'm not seeing any that's left except for along this edge where we're going to hand sand that. So Matt and I are a little curious to see how uneven the surface actually is since it came off so easily. So I'm actually just going to dicom a little spot right now, run that over with the 180 again, because if it doesn't need a ton of filling, I might actually just go through in the next couple days, sand it down with an 80 grit, and then start priming it with our Alex Seal Finish Primer. Fast forward now just a couple of days later, and everything has been sanded down with a 120 grit sandpaper. When I was working with a power sander, I was just kind of like taking care of this large area. What I didn't show on camera is I came back and just did the center part kind of this curve and the flats leading out here, because we're going to have about 4 inches from this line that come out that will still just be shiny before the non-skid starts. Then with 150 grit on just a block like this, I took care of the edges. So, you know, like I would just kind of a lightly cross-hatch here to keep it shaped, but get that shine off. And that was done for the edges here as well. So when I go through it here, just to get the shine off, do that, and then come across the edges like here, just to keep it shaped. And I think I finished right along here somewhere, so I just have a couple little parts left to do. But once that is done, I'm going to give this a wipe with acetone, and we're going to get its first coat of the Alex Seal Finish Primer on.
What's the angle? I'm not playing that game.
Just pulled out our very last foam roller in the box, so I have to get some more of those on order. Before we can go out and start priming though, going to add 20% of our reducer to the 20 ounces I made. So hopefully I can see my lines will bring that up to about 24 ounces here. That nice and thin to go on.
Corrective pressure. It's about times or another direction. You do it too. If you knew what's good for you. Future minded. It's not much for peace and out of my way. And back with pie and tell me what would happen. No thanks, I'll pass. I don't want any of that. I'll just take my chances. No thanks, not now. I made it this far somehow. I'll just take my chances.
All finished now, and I have what we'll call 1.5 coats on it. I had maybe 4 to 6 ounces left over, so I went over the inside part one more time, and this about 2/3 of the way back. So just a little patchy in places while it's still drying, but it should be a good first coat. And I think we're just going to put that Dicom on it next and sand down and look for low spots. But what drives me kind of crazy, I know it's not the biggest deal, but when I was up on the top rolling over, I left these hard edges here, and I definitely wish I would have blended them better before I moved on. The rest is looking fairly decent, so hopefully it will not need much filling before we can get another coat of primer and then paint on it. Over the winter, while we were waiting for our Victron components to arrive, we just did some mundane projects on the boat. Things that we didn't think our viewers would be interested in just because it pretty much follows the path of things that we've shown before, like fairing and painting out our engine beds. I've done some work just to the cabinets, but over the past few episodes, I guess we had gone further in progress than the two of us thought, I guess because we're too close to it. And a lot of people have been asking for just a general tour to see where the boat is overall right now. So let's go ahead and go inside and show you where we're at right now. Through the earlier parts of this video, I've been walking through what I've been doing up on the cabin top there, but I guess you haven't seen the interior, so let's start with the cockpit and then walk through the rest of the boat. And to get out of the sun, I decided to walk along the little duckbill here. You can see that we have enclosed the space, but really this has not been touched since last year, so nothing should look different. We haven't done any more to the helm station. It's been primed, but we haven't really been able to do anything. The goal, we still haven't gotten the finalized pieces of aluminum for our uprights yet. So right now we still have these wood beams in here, and we can't glass in the bottom of the helm until we get the cabin top position finalized. So just been waiting on that. Still fairly early in the season though, so we're not too worried about that. It's been kind of nice having an enclosed space to work through rain in case it happens. Let's move on to the galley. And honestly, the only thing that has happened in here is I've gone through and just taken that night decor, and now I have painted it with our Total Boat Wet Edge. Where the trash can is, that still hasn't been done yet. That's just a general primer on there. But because I've been working on other areas, these two cabinets are just stuffed to the gills. So done that, and actually in the past day or two, we have emptied out what is just going to be our general storage shelves in the galley. Gotten the first coat of wet edge on there, so they're empty. And then where our refrigerator will be over here, that still hasn't been touched yet. Our doors, we thought that we were going to get those painted at the beginning of the season because they didn't get touched last year. Other than primer, they still are full of our green Total Fair, but we realized that those areas get banged into a lot, so no need to paint them just yet, although we did go through now and put that coat of paint onto this area here, and we're still deciding between two paint colors. This is the Alex Seal Pegasus Gray, and this is a basic home improvement store one called Storm's Coming, so we're deciding between those two. But on that subject, that leads us to another wall right now. This is bulkhead 5. In the galley, it's going to be the one that leads down to the forward berth. And with that Pegasus Gray from Alex Seal, you can see that I've got two tags here that say eggshell and matte. We've tried flattening them just because we didn't think we wanted a high gloss on these walls. And to be honest, I think we're still learning the mixing ratios because none of them really seem that flat. So, but we just wanted to see what it would look like on a big wall. Backing out. This is the full view of the galley and salon. Again, not too much happening in here that has been different. Although with our cabinets not filmed, I did go through a few months ago and I put the Pegasus Gray inside this cabinet here. It's going to have just some white doors on top of it. And right now it's being used for storage. I've been trying to pick out the color and material for our cushions in the settee area. But part of that is once I finally figure out what paint color we're going to go with, because one's a warm brown and one is a cool brown. If we turn from here, you can see the breaker box that Matt has been working on a lot lately. First wires are going in there. And so again, these switches are not going to be used manually all the time. So actually right next to it there is just going to be the switches for the salon and courtesy lights. It's just easy access if we do have to go and manually turn those on and off. But otherwise, these areas are same as normal. We'll take a pop down onto the port side. First thing as we go down the steps is the guest storage area. This has actually been repainted by me. One of the things that I've done recently, not shown on camera, went through with our Total Boat wet edge and went from just kind of like a matte color before, redid it into a nice shiny white gloss color. Also not filmed, Matt has now painted the engine bed with our Alex Seal Cloud White Top Coat 501, and any areas that you still see the green fiberglass on the underside of the bed or the back bulkhead there, that is so that we can put sound deadening foam on so it doesn't actually need paint. And you started looking into different areas to run hoses and things like that, but really not much has changed there. Going forward from the aft berth into the Jack and Jill head, we had gone through and painted the shower pan area because that had originally been a gel coat that came with the boat, but it wasn't quite matching our paint color, so we went through and painted that. It's now protected. We have our sink here, trying to figure out placement kind of, because since this is a wet head, the shower will also be in here. The faucet that is going to be in this area needs to be able to go to the sink when necessary, and also it will have a clamp up here to be the shower. And just this past week or so, for those following on Facebook or social media, I did go through with the Alex Seal Pegasus gray color that I'm thinking about doing on our walls, and I painted the medicine cabinet in that color using the full gloss. Now going further forward, not on camera, I went through and put that Total Boat wet edge in these cabinets from just kind of like the more matte color they had before. And Matt has been tinkering with one of our air conditioners, which will go in that spot. But right now, all of our cabinets, which again, I did happen to resand and paint with wet edge. That's about all that has been done in here. So that is actually how I spent about 4 weeks of this winter, is going through and sanding down all of our cabinets, repriming them, getting them ready for paint again. And yeah, because they were initially done about 2.5 years ago, Matt did have to have an intervention for me to stop fairing them. They're just cabinets. They just need a new coat of paint. So yeah, I try to sneak in a lot of that fairing compound when he wasn't looking. Although one thing that was new in this area, you can see that the aft part of the V-berth has a template for our overhead. This is just a general plywood that we're kind of seeing how it would adhere. But in the forward area, I have all of the blocks that I had measured out, which then will get adhered like this. You can see in these corners, this is the male part that goes into the wood to match with the female part, which will go into the blocks here. But I have these mounted with a 2-part methacrylate. And that is something I actually wanted to show in the aft berth because I started a video of that. Still haven't gotten anywhere because of the 1/4-inch plywood. There's a specific kind that we want. We put it on order in December. We were told it was going to be on back order until May. Now we're getting word that it's not going to be until September. So I have kind of been shifting my focus to other projects because we won't be able to do that for a while anyway. Leaving the port side, walking back up to the galley. Again, we've already gone through this, so we're just going to walk through here and now go over to Starboard, where a lot of the focus has been with Matt lately, working with our electronics. Starting with the aft berth, where Matt and I will be sleeping, and this is our electric motor here, which was focused the other week. So still just kind of lots of focus of where hoses will be run in here. Getting the air conditioner situated, which sits in the top part of the storage here, but I do soon need to go through this bottom storage, which is just rear fiberglass, and I would like to fair, but basically just paint that out. Next to that is the back side of our electronics cabinet with a lot of our DC to DC chargers, connectors, Matt has started to do a little wiring. We've put vents in here because our hybrid controller will be down there. Although I don't think it's actually the hybrid controller, it's called something else, but this is where Matt has been spending his days. And I couldn't redo one side's cabinets without doing the other, so this has been painted again in here. This is my clothing storage. I get all of these shelves. Matt's clothing storage is on this side, going down here, and oh, poor Georgie's litter box, but that will be next Kitty's litter box, and I still have to paint down there. You can kind of see in here the old color, somewhat yellowish and matte of what we had before. So yeah, we're switching that all to the shiny white. Our was what once upon a time hanging locker, which is now all of our Victron electronics, starting to get wired out. Our Multiplus 2 inverters. And still might have some space down there for shoes, we'll see. Then going into the master head, we do have our Vetus electric toilet just kind of sitting in place, not hooked up yet. And then because we're getting ready to do doors, Matt went through and added these supports because we're going to have 3 doors in these outboard cabinets and needed a space for each of them to hit. So went through, of course, sanded this area, painted it. These absolutely full shelves, which have all of our spare parts. Yeah, I spent a little too much time in there trying to ferret out. I digress. I got excited. And forward we have the master shower, which really hasn't been touched at all. We've actually been storing a bunch of stuff in here, which I just cleared out today for this video. And then what will be coming once we have it more complete is the water maker in here. It's being protected right now by some plastic to try and keep it kind of dust-free. Our Rain Man sitting in there. We'll go through that just as one big thing once it's finally connected. So I don't know, maybe it's just me and it doesn't feel like a lot of new things have been happening. As I've just walked through here right now, I've been kind of saying like, okay, why am I showing this? You know, like it's the same thing as it's been. But as many people have told us, we're so close to it ourselves that we do something so small, or it's been a few months since we've done it and we barely even notice it, but it's a big change to our viewers. And as we're working on very specific areas like the front of this media station here, it's kind of hard to decipher where it is in relation to everything else. So hopefully this walkthrough has helped. And now that the weather is getting nicer, we'll be doing lots of outside projects. Hopefully I'll be starting to figure out color things for our cushions, overheads, even if we're not actually installing that for a while. So that is where we are now, and hopefully we can keep those visual changes coming through the rest of the year.
Give me your freedom. Whoa, yeah, to pieces. Yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. Life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces. Yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium.